Just Tracy. I am so excited to be doing this video right now, and I kind of want to hold up first. One of my Comic-Con passes is flipped up the wrong way. Oh no, I dropped my bird. One of my students made me this little crane. One of my little 7th graders. How freaking cute is that? I'm gonna keep it forever. His name is Joey. He's an adorable kid. Anyways, so I'm really excited to be doing this for you guys because I have not filmed a deck tech on my channel. Like, I don't even know when the last deck tech is that I filmed, and you guys really love them. Like, they're one of like my most popular videos, and of course I want to film videos that you guys like, and it's not that I don't like doing deck techs, it's one, I kind of forgot about them, and two, the main reason why I film deck techs is I don't film like mock decks, which is actually what this is, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. Basically, I film videos, like I film deck techs on decks I already own. I very rarely have filmed mock deck techs. Like I think I did one for Splinter Twin. Did I do one for Burn? I can't remember. Like I've talked about those types of things, but very rarely have I put together a list and done that. And the reason why I've actually haven't done this is because I felt like I was gonna get a lot of criticisms for my deck building styles because I build decks very differently than most people. And I'm not trying to be like, my deck building strategy is better than yours. Nah, what was that voice? What even was that? But no, it's not like that. It's that I build decks very differently and I have a very different perspective on things than other people. So like, I'm building Abzan and I don't have Tarmogoyfs in my build and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about why I don't do that. And funny, I'm actually doing this video is because I did this video talking about why are you running that, which is a video that you should check out if you haven't seen that already. It'll be listed in the description bar, assuming I remember. And I basically talked about like why are there certain cards that are run in builds, like when you think of Abzan, what are the cards that you ought to think of? Well, you're running green, so you're running Tarmogoyf, etc. I want to talk about the creature base, I want to talk about that. But basically, like I said, I build the decks very differently, and what I do and how I get inspired is I first think of what I want out of a deck, what are cards that I think are sweet that I want to run. I look at a bunch of other deck lists and I put together something. This is, again, as I said, a mock deck. I literally put this together, I spent like an hour or so constructing it. I have not personally played with this deck, so I do not know how the deck plays. I really have no idea. I had a couple of my friends take a look at it and they thought it looked pretty sweet, and I took a look at it and I was like, I'll like it. So I really want to know what you guys think. The deck list will be in the description box if you want to check it out. Like I said, this is a different version of Abzan, but what I really like about Abzan, I like a lot of things about Abzan. One, it's a mid-range deck, and if you know anything about me, you know that I love mid-range decks. Those decks that can kill you on turn 3, it's not a mid-range deck though. I really care about mid-range decks. I did a whole video talking about why mid-range decks are juice. Mid-range decks are awesome and I love them. Abzan to me is very underrated in my opinion, but I think that it's really sweet, and I think what I really like about this deck is that there's so many different ways to do it. I'm actually thinking about doing another deck tech on Little Kid Abzan. That deck's also sweet and it's very different from this deck list. Yes, it shares the colors, but it is very different. It's very much a toolbox deck. It's very much runs great value creatures, runs like Bird's Paradise and Noble Hierarch and like Kasali Pride Mage. Oh man, that deck's sweet. But yeah, like I said, this is my version of the deck. I have not personally played with this, and you know what, if I did, I would totally tell you guys what I think about changing things up, but I personally believe that you need to test a deck really before you go out and buy it. So yeah, this is my version of the deck, and I want to talk about it. I want to first talk about the creatures. If you look at a lot of other Abzan deck lists, you know, I'm just nuts. Like, I'm nuts in my deck building. I completely know this. I do things that are off the wall that are considered, you know, not conventional because that's just who I am. Okay, so first, I want to talk about the creatures. This deck runs 13, which is actually kind of heavy on the side of Abzan list. A lot of Abzan lists run like 9 or 10. So running 13 is a little bit adventurous, but again, I'm an adventurous person, guys. This is what I do. Also, this is a mock deck. I'm not buying this deck, but it is really sweet. Let's just talk about it. Okay, so as I was looking at a lot of deck lists, I was like, yo, a lot of these deck lists are running this pretty sweet card called Grimflayer, and I have great stories about this card because I drafted with this card at, what set is this? I'm looking at the little thing. The Eldrazi with Liliana, what is it, Shadows? Is it Shadows of Innistrad? Something, whatever the set was. Anyways, when I went to that pre-release, I had this card and it was nuts. I remember I played a game and I literally killed a guy on like turn 6 or 7 with this card because it's nuts. A lot of versions will you see a lot of versions of the deck that you'll see run 4 versions of Grimflare. My personal build, that mock build that I just did, runs 3. The reason why I'm running 3 is because there is a lot of discard synergy as in the deck, as you're going to see, but it doesn't have as much as other versions, so I only wanted to cut it to 3. But if you were tweaking this, you could absolutely add 4. You could cut it down to 2 if you wanted to, if your deck doesn't revolve around him, but he's nuts. Okay, first off, he's a 2-mana 2/2 with trample. Lit. It's sweet. Okay. I love it. Okay, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you look at the top 3 cards of your library. You put any number of them into your graveyard, and then any back on the top in any order. So say you like all those 3 cards, you just manipulate them, and you're like, okay, sweet, we're just going to put them back in any order. So it's a sweet ability. Love that. But, and as this version of Abzan you're going to see, you want things in your graveyard for various things. This is a really good card that synergizes well with Tarmogoyf. As I said, I'm not running any in this build. But, one, I think it's more financially affordable. Like, I do think there are absolutely Abzan builds that don't run Tarmogoyf. And I, in my personal opinion, I think you can absolutely do it. And basically the reason why a lot of people, Tarmogoyf's a big heavy hitter. Like, you get hit by a couple times with Tarmogoyf, that's like a 5/6, you're gonna kill him in like 3 turns if you get that off. So the deck needs a little bit of juice, it needs a little bit of oomph, so I tried to compensate for that a little bit. So Grimflare is definitely a really good way, because it can just be a 4/4 trampler, which is really good. And this deck also has like a ton of removal, so someone plays something and you just probably want to just remove it, or you have them discard it. Okay, anyways, Grimflare. Delirium, if you get Delirium, it gets +2/+2. Again, there's a lot of graveyard synergies in this, and he does his own little graveyard synergy in and of itself, where you can put things in your graveyard, you can manipulate that, or you can just, look at the top 3 and you're like, I like these cards, put them back on top, or like the land, I don't need that, put it in my graveyard. Grimflare is nuts. There's a reason why this card's like $20. It's sweet. Okay. Now we have Kitchen Finks. Now I really love Kitchen Finks a lot. My version of it runs 3. Card's just a really good value card. It's a really good toolbox card. I like that it has the option of it being green or white to cast it, which makes it a little bit easier in the casting, because this deck is pretty sensitive on colors. Like, you need your colors for the different various things. So I like that it's green or white. And just about after you gain 2 life, sweet. You do have a couple of things in this deck that are making you lose life. Some versions of this deck run Dark Confidant. If you're running Dark Confidant, you need ways of gaining life, let's be real here. I'm actually not a huge fan of Dark Confidant. Unpopular opinion, I have a lot of unpopular opinions when it comes to modern cards, and I'm kind of scared to say them, but at the same time, I don't really care. So, Kitchen Finks, yeah, it's got Persist. There's also this other card that I'm going to talk about next, which, has something to do with ETB effects, and that is a 1/of Restoration Angel. If I'm running white in Modern, I need to find a way to run Restoration Angel. This card is amazing. It's a really big heavy hitter. So when I was talking earlier about how you're not running Tarmogoyfs, if you don't run Tarmogoyfs in your Abzan build, you need to find a way to compensate for having things that do a lot of damage, because you need those heavy hitters. You need a way to do damage to your opponent. And Tarmogoyf's a pretty good beater, let's be real here. As much as I don't like him, he can be a decent beater at times. Not all the time, but sometimes. Restoration Angel, you flash it in. If someone goes to remove your thing, you're like, nah, blink it. Or you blink your Kitchen Finks, and then you get another 2 life, which is so sweet. That's why I was like, I need to do another Kitchen Finks, because originally I was running like 2, I think, and I was like, I need to run 3, because that with Restoration Angel is great. On top of that, it's a 3/4 flyer. It's got flying, so it's got evasion. It's just a really nice body. Really love that you can, like, it's got a little bit of evasion, and you can just stop your opponent from targeting your ability. 2 mainboard Scavenging Ooze. You can totally manipulate this. Some versions run 1, some run 2, some run 3, some run some in the sideboard. This is really good to deal with cards that are unwanted in graveyards. There's a lot of graveyard synergies going on. What I love doing with Scavenging Ooze is someone goes to target something with Snapcaster Mage, you're just like, Scavenging Ooze, don't even care. Even if it's not a creature, you don't care. You just want to get rid of their thing because you don't want them to target their thing with their Snapcaster Mage. So it's really good. And then on top of that, if it's a creature, this gets a +1/+1 counter and you gain life, which is awesome. I always get really worried in decks where you lose a lot of life, but this deck has a bit of life gain, which I really like with the Kitchen Finks and the Scavenging Ooze. So I love Scavenging Ooze. Card's great. Alright, and I mean, obviously we need to run like Siege Rhino, so my build runs 3 because this card's great. This card with Restoration Angel is just like magical Christmas land, let's be completely honest here. So, it's just great. This card is awesome. This card is just so incredibly solid, and I'm so sad that more people don't run Abzan because, like, you runs this card, you run Siege Rhino, guys. Like, what else do you really need in the world? So basically, 4 mana, 4/5 trample. ETBs, you gain 3, your opponent loses 3. You just discard for days. Some versions will run 4. I only run 3. You could probably get away with running 2, to be honest, as well, and like substitute and run another creature or something like that. But I like 3 in this version because of the synergy with Restoration Angel, and it's just a great card. It is a huge heavy hitter, so definitely an essential card in this build. I'm a little bit, there's a couple of 4-drops in the deck and a couple in this 4-drop slot. Your curve kind of stops off at 4, so kind of, you know, gotta be wary of that sort of thing in your build. Then we have Tasigur. I have a 1 of Tasigur, and I just love this card. This card synergizes fantastically with Grimflare. He synergizes well with his own. I mean, I don't need to really talk that much about Tasigur because he's one of my favorite Magic cards, and I just love him, and I can't not run him in decks because he's amazing. I always have to find a way to squeeze Tasigur in there somewhere. I like cut a Siege Rhino so I could run this card because I just needed to. He synergizes well with that. You know, getting things back from your graveyard is like really good. Putting things in your graveyard so it can buff your Grimflare. And you know, 1 mana, 4/5s are really good. Let's just be honest here. They're awesome. You can get rid of those unwanted cards in your graveyard. Tasigur's great. So yeah, I've negated running, what's it called? Running the cards that, you know, I think this deck potentially may lack power, which I'm a little bit concerned about. Like, I don't know if it has enough heavy hitters as I'm just scoping this sort of thing out. Something that I'd play around with if you are thinking about building this deck. Yeah, I think I don't know. It's just, I'm not too sure if it has enough oomph, but we'll talk about it. Okay, now we get into sorceries. So, first we got 2 Collective Brutality, and this card is nuts. This card is just absolutely incredible, and it does so many things. Synergizes fantastically with Grimflare. Grimflare is kind of like one of the MVPs of this deck, like you want to get him to work. I feel like if I was reworking this, maybe I would add a Grimflare. I don't know how well the synergy works with all the discard, but there's a lot of discard outlet in this deck for both your opponent and yourself. So it's 2 mana, and then it's got Escalate, you discard a card, and it does like all of these things. You know, you can have your opponent discard something, target creature gets -2/-2, you know, which you could buff that a couple times and kill their whatever. And then target opponent loses 2 and you gain 2, which is awesome. So card does a lot of different things, very important, really, really solid card in this build. Now I want to talk about Inquisition Thoughtseize. I get people have completely different perspectives on these cards. My version, we're running 3 Inquisitions. Inquisition is really good, though it doesn't hit everything. Now that I'm looking at this deck, maybe I would rework it and possibly do 2-3, so I do 2 Inquisitions and 3 Thoughtseizes, because you do have a little bit of lost life, but you have a lot of gaining life in this deck, so you have a pretty decent amount of it. Inquisition's really good, doesn't hit everything, but it's a good card. Then we have 4 Lingering Souls, which is absolutely 100% important in this deck. Getting those flyers, getting that sort of evasion is really, really solid, and the fact that it's got Flashback 2 is really incredible. Love it. And like I said, and Thoughtseize, 2 Thoughtseize, card's great. Okay, then we have Instants. The deck has 2 Abrupt Decays. Abrupt Decay is really good. Any sort of deck that, you know, you need to get rid of their thing works really well against any sort of blue deck because it can't be countered. If you know you're going into a meta where there's blue is a really heavy card, I would definitely include more of these, even in the sideboard, because sideboard is so dependent on your meta. Abrupt Decay is really good, real good. Okay, then we have 2 Fatal Push. Again, another really, really important card in this deck. Man, when this card came out, I remember I was talking about it in a draft, and I was like, this card's just nuts. And, like, I absolutely knew that this was going to find its way in competitive formats, because it's just amazing. You know, 1 mana, destroy target creature, if it has converted mana cost 2 or less, you hit so many different things in this format. Literally kills a Tarmogoyf. If you can kill a Tarmogoyf for, like, 1 mana, that's really good. Revolt, destroy it if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn. Really good synergy with Restoration Angel, which I really like. Kind of sort of sweet thing that I was doing when I was thinking about that. And Kitchen Finks. Really good synergy with Kitchen Finks, so this card is really sweet. So editing this video, I left out talking about Path to Exile. How it happens? No idea how that happened. I'm like, I swear I talked about it, and I'm editing it, and I was like, Fatal Push, Planeswalkers, and I was like, wait, hold up, what? So basically, the deck runs 4 Path to Exiles. Now, some of my favorite things that I've ever done, and I did a video where I talked about, like, using cards in different ways. A lot of people are like, you only ever use Path to Exile to get rid of your, you know, opponents, like, things. Oh gosh, this was the best thing ever. So, one day I was playing I was in a tournament and I was playing against this guy, and I don't remember, he had like some sort of counter spell, and he wasted his counter spell countering my Path to exile my Wall of Omens so I could get a land. And I just thought it was really funny because he stopped my removal spell that was not designed for his creature. It was really funny. I'm convinced that he wasted that counter spell at that point, which was really funny. His pen is sticking out, it's bothering me. So yeah, like, Path to Exile is just really good multi-use card. Again, it doesn't necessarily read, you know, exile your opponent's creature. It's anything. You can be your creatures, it can be your 1/1 Lingering Souls token because you need your third color, like, you know, things like that. So, yeah, that, but yeah, Path is just, like, really good. It's just, like, all around a really great card. 1 mana, you know, instant speed removal. They get a land, just don't care, you got rid of their, like, huge threat. Yeah, really good. Planeswalkers. Many versions of Abzan run 4 Liliana of the Veils. My version's only running 3 because I snuck a card in at the Planeswalker slot, and I didn't want to run 5 Planeswalkers in the main board. You got 3 Liliana of the Veils. Really important card. You know, each player discards a card. Fantastic Grimflayer, like, yes, please, love it. Then, -2, target player sacks creature. -, real good. And then -6, I mean, let's be real here, you're probably not getting this off, but I mean, hey, you may, that would be pretty cool. You separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. They sack all permanents in the pile that they choose, so you just, what that means is that you've basically won the game at that point. Like, let's be real here, that's what that, like, -6 text says. Liliana Veil is really incredible, really important card in this deck, works really well with Grimflayer. Oh, my mom, go back to your video. Okay, so tax paper is very exciting in the world of adulting. Okay, Sorin Solemn Visitor. Okay, if you know anything about me, you know that I just love this card. I mean, Sorin is just incredible. Like, I had to run him in this deck. I mean, just, he's great. So, you know, first ability, until your next turn, important, don't misread this. Do not misread this. I'm not telling you because I've misread it, I'm telling you because other people misread it, and they're like, attack with my thing, and I was like, block? I was like, gain all that life back, and they're like, oh, yeah. So your team gets +1/+1, sorry, +1/+0, and lifelink. Muy importante. Card's great. You just have this giant blocker, and it buffs it a little bit, and it's just got lifelink. Okay, sweet. I was like, I'm done, right? No, I have the minus ability, Dutch Racy. Yeah, and if you get the emblem off, you know, it's great. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacks a creature. So this is, like, really important. It's really, really important. Sorin, so good, I love this card. Okay, so, I gotta do the mana base. Okay, I'm not gonna talk too in depth on the mana base because mana bases are totally dependent on your deck. Like, if you change a card in here, you're gonna need to change your mana base. Like, that's just the reality. But I don't want to talk that much about it, but I want to talk about a couple of things. The first thing is the inclusion of Gavany Township. Some builds you'll see run it, some don't. I personally think that you need it. It's just really, really good. It's a very important card, really good for the late game when you can just put a +1/+1 counter on your team and you have nothing in your hand. You just have nothing in your hand because you discarded all your stuff with Liliana, whatever. You need Gavany Township. Card is nuts. Oh, and I'm running 24 lands, by the way. It'll be in the description bar. Ghost Quarter, you need to be running this card. You just hands down, you have to be running a Ghost Quarter. You need to get rid of your opponent's Tron land or whatever, like, whatever they're playing. You just have to get rid of, like, someone something, or Ghost Quartering your own lands, because goodness knows I do that, like, all the time, or I've done that all the time, because I need my third color, so, it happens. Then I have, what was I going to talk about? Oh, Shambling Vet. I run 2 that and 2 Stirring Wildwoods. Again, you'll see totally dependent things on these numbers. Shambling Event is really good. I just have so much life gain in this deck, it's great. So it becomes a 2/3 thing with lifelink. Pretty basic, but it's really good and really important. And then I run 2 Stirring Wildwoods. It becomes a 3/4 with reach, which is really solid, so you can, like, block their thing with flying or, like, whatever. Or it's just a 3/4 beater, which is really good. So I think the inclusion of those man lands is very important because you're getting you know, you need more threats on the board. I think this deck needs a little bit more threats. You have a lot of removal in this deck, but you also need just threats to stop your opponent as well. And I just realized, did I forget to talk about something in Sorin Solemn Visitor? I did. I skipped over his -2 ability. -2, you make a dude, which is awesome. Sorin's -2 is, like, great. Okay, and then basic lands. Now, I am running in my build 1 forest, 2 plains, and 2 swamps. I run 5. A lot of people think that's very heavy. A lot of people think that's very generous. I'm an advocate for basic lands just because, yeah, you only get 1 color out of them, but 1, they don't come in tap. 2, they don't cost you, like, any life or anything because there's not a shock land. And 3, you know, this card called Blood Moon exists, and people are gonna run this card. So I think it's just very important to run basics. I'm always an advocate for running more basics. I hate it when I run like 3 basics. I need to run like at least 4, like 5. I'm very generous when I run basics. Unpopular opinion. I know. Okay, then I want to talk about sideboard kind of quickly, because this is totally dependent on where you're going. Are you playing at your game store? Are you going to a tournament? Like, what are you doing? But I want to talk about some stuff that I think are pretty juicy in this deck. The first is Anafenza. The problem with a lot of times Graveyard Hate is Graveyard Hate goes both ways. You kill your, like, Rest in Peace, you kill your graveyard and your opponents, which stops so many things in this deck which you don't want to do. Anafenza is a really good response to that because she says, opponent's graveyard. Yes, it's a creature, but it's really good against creature-heavy decks, and that thing just gets exiled. Also, she's kind of like a 3-mana 4/4, which is a fantastic value card, so Anafenza is great. And then whenever she attacks, you put a +1 counter on another target tapped creature you control, which is awesome. I definitely need to look at Abzan because she, with like Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarch, is really good because you tap them and then you just attack with her, which is awesome. So Anafenza is a really good, really important card, I think. 1 Collective Brutality in the sideboard. Just, why not? 1 Damnation in the sideboard, because sometimes you just gotta remove the board. Sometimes you just gotta, like, kill everything. Oh, this could actually not, oh, you know what I realized? I forgot. This could be Wrath of God if you don't want to spend, like, $50 on Damnation. The thing about Damnation, though, is depending on your build, it does cost 2 black, and in my version of this build, black is the most predominant color. So that's why I guess I ran Damnation. I honestly just forgot to add Wrath of God is the real reason behind it, but Damnation's a really good option depending on your build. But if you can afford doing the double white for like Wrath of God, do that. Fulminator Mage, really good against like Tron stuff, anything like Affinity where you just need to get rid of like their thing, whatever. You could probably up Damnations too, depending on your meta. You could probably I'd put Gideon, Ally of Zendikar in there just because I love Planeswalkers, and Gideon's amazing, like he's so good. Like, you know, he becomes just a really, really big dude, and then, you know, he's like indestructible and whatever, which is lit. And then, you know, his 0, like, you put a 2/2 Knight, which is awesome, and then the minus, just giving all your creatures +1/+1 is so important. Card's great. Saw a lot of versions of this deck running Liliana, The Last Hope. Oh my gosh, she's like $36. What? No, there's a reason. She's awesome. Liliana's great. So, you know, I've seen some versions run like Liliana of the Veil and Liliana of the Last Hope, like a lot of them, and keep in mind with the rule with the Planeswalkers, like you can't have double of the same name, so I don't think it's worth it to run like a ton, but like that's why I'm only doing 3 Lilianas as well. I just realized that synergy. I didn't even mean to do that. That's great. I'm glad I did that. But Liliana Last Hope, you know, stops your opponent with her +1, which is great. And then -2, you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you can return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, which is great. Works really well with Tasigur, just saying. I'd like to think that I do well with synergy sometimes, guys. Give me some credit. Maelstrom Pulse, muy importante. You just need this card. It's just a staple in Abzan. Some people run it in the main board. I didn't really find I had too much room, so I threw it in the sideboard. It's a very important card. You're running Abzan, you just need to run this card in the sideboard because it's amazing. Really good. Pithing Needle. I am a sucker for Pithing Needle. Every single sideboard I build, I essentially have Pithing Needle in it because it stops, like, a lot of stuff. It stops Planeswalker from activating their abilities, so if you're playing against a control deck, someone Pithing Needled my Elspeth Sun's Champion when I was playing Blue White, and it made me real sad. It's super good. Card's great. You want this card. Stony Silence is one of my personal favorites to get rid of, but to stop, I would say, artifacts. Really good against Affinity. Lantern Control, 2. Then we have Surgical Extraction. This card is really fantastic. I think Paul turned me on to, whoa, this card's like $18, guys. What is happening? I like step away from Modern for like, okay, it's been like months, but like I step away from Modern for months and like everything is just nuts. What's happening? Damn, this card needs a reprint, man. Okay, so anyways, Surgical Extraction is really, really good. Really good if you're playing against like a combo deck and then you just get rid of a piece of their combo. Oh, this card's great. Okay, so basically this next card was a recommendation. Like I said, I had a little bit of help with this, not really, this was mostly myself. But Justin suggested Traverse the Uvenwald. Whoa fam, this card's really sweet. Alright, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Hey, sometimes you just use that ability because you just need your colors. Fine. But if you get Delirium, you know, you can search your library for a creature or a land, and, you know, put that into your hand, which is real good, because you could just be like, I need my Restoration Angel, or I need my Siege Rhino. What if they're like 3 life and you traverse and then you grab Siege Rhino and then you just kill them? Listen fam, I'm just telling you facts, Then one of Zealous Persecution. As someone who's played with this card before in Black White Tokens, it's amazing. It's straight up, it's a great card. You know, I just realized it's super dark, guys, I'm sorry. I have my light, and this is the second time today that I forgot to use it. I'm really sorry. Video's on the server anyway. Zealous Persecution is just incredible. I mean, really, you know, giving your team +1/+1, stopping, you know, killing off potentially some of your opponents, kills Snapcaster Mage, kills like a lot of things. Very important card. Really good to like buff your team and stop your opponent. So yeah guys, that was it for Abzan deck tech. I do want to do more deck techs in the future. The problem is that they take a long time to edit, but I don't mind because this was a really fun mock to do, and as I was building this I realized how much I miss deck building in Modern, and I definitely want to do this because like I said, I don't do I just do whatever the hell I want, and it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So yeah guys, that was it. I will talk to you later. Bye.